We obviously are live this evening. It's 10:05 in Yaoundé, and Djeukam Tchameni is our guest tonight. He's a Cameroonian politician and the leader of the Democratic and Interdependence Movement of Cameroon. He ran for president in 2004, but before that, he's been heavily involved in a push for a tripartite conference in the 90s, as well as a return to multi-party politics. The regime eventually gave way for that. In recent years, or in the past 20 to 25 years, he has pushed for a coalition because he was a key stakeholder in the Union for Change of 1992 that led to the election of John Frundi as president of Cameroon, even though he did not sit in office. And so joining me for 60 minutes tonight, Djeukam Tchameni is our guest. We'll be discussing the now Union for Change 2025, which is a movement that is pushing for a coalition with candidates to come up with a consensual candidate that could be fielded on the October 12th presidential election, in the hope of increasing the opposition's chances of unseating 92-year-old President Paul Biya, who has been in power for 43 years and is seeking an 8th term. And so I am here. He told me he was on his way to Yaoundé this morning. He's just making it into town, and so we're just waiting on him to settle in so that he can join us and we can have a conversation. Okay, yeah, he tells me of shaky internet, which is expected in Cameroon, right? The internet, electricity, or power and water are not, stable internet is not very easy to come by in Cameroon, but he promises to be here. I will go ahead and send him an invite, and then he can join us. He can hop on live. He's currently in Yaoundé, and today is the deadline for candidates to submit their aspirations or their wishes to become the candidate of the consensus, or the consensual candidate for his Union for Change. And they're scheduled to hold a meeting to present this candidate on the 13th at the Yaoundé Omnisport Stadium. A meeting that has been put on hold by the DO on grounds that they have not received an authorization for the stadium's managing body in Cameroon. But yeah, he's going to tell us more this evening. I'll go ahead and send him the invite. Fun, but it comes with its own pros and cons, and so I'm communicating with the invitee right now. We're just trying to get him connected. Today I will be using my phone, yeah, just because my PC is having some issues. But yeah, so in another few minutes he should be joining us, and we should be able to discuss if or not it is necessary to have a coalition in order to be able to beat Paul Biya, or if you need a two-round presidential election, a more transparent electoral process, what all the other candidates are saying about his venture, what happened to the Duala group as well, which was initially created by Sambaka and Anissa Ekane, and just questions on representation, right? And all of these things we'll be discussing this night. The last time I had a conversation with him was in 2019. This was after the presidential election, and he was having conversations with Maurice Kamto at the time to see if they could build some kind of a platform, come together to work towards a commonality of political programs, just to see if they could field in future elections a common candidate. Things didn't work out too well from the look of things, and he's back again this time around with the Union for Change, and he thinks that this time, this umpteenth time is a charm, and we'll be finding out why he thinks so during the next 60 minutes. And for some reason, today's 9/11. While it is the deadline for candidates for the Union for Change 2025 to submit their intentions to run as the candidate of the consensus, it also is a not too happy anniversary for the United States. I know 9/11 became popular across the world for the twin attacks, which we all remember. Hi, Ella. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, tonight is one of those nights where we have to have one of those tough conversations, or really, I mean, it shouldn't have to be, right? But yeah, we want to know more about what Mr. Tchameni has been up to, what the UFC is about this time, if it's similar to 1992, who the members are, and the political parties that he has been in touch with. Yesterday, Bello Buba came out to say, the candidate for the UNDP, that he was in no way associated to this venture. In fact, as of today, he has announced that he's going to be having a Zoom call on the same day, on the 13th, on Saturday, to discuss the diaspora's role in the development of Cameroon, and just in general, his democratic reforms that he is proposing if he were elected on the 12th of October, in a couple of months. But also, the APC coordinator, or acting coordinator, Jean-Michel Nietzsche, also came out to say that he and his candidate, Maurice Kamto, were in no way associated to Djeukam Tchameni's initiative. So those are some of the powerhouses of Cameroonian politics. They do have a strong say in the current dynamics. Maurice Kamto is a Manidem candidate, but was arbitrarily ousted from the race by a regime that has become more and more tight-fisted and stern towards its adversaries. But yeah, so that leaves Mr. Tchameni with 10 other candidates, or 9 other candidates to discuss with, but he'll be telling us more this evening. Serge Hervé, thank you so much for being here tonight. I know how busy it gets for you, but really appreciate your time as well. I remember this conversation we were having about the SDF in the 80s and in the 90s, and yeah, what a great time that was. for some reason, after that, when the opposition won by 39 points to 36, the numbers, the scores of the opposition with every election cycle have dwindled. Some people believe the rigging machine has become so bold with every election just to be able to discredit any opposition candidate who comes up and says they believe they won. You know, they create the gap to a point where nobody takes you seriously if you say, hey, listen, these guys rigged, I actually won the elections. And so it's a psychological game, and as is believed by politicians of that era, that the regime has used over time, has surfed on to maintain itself in power. Mr. Djeukam Tchameni tells us that he is here, but still I can't find him. I can't locate him. So we're just waiting for that to happen. Ismaël Adamou, merci beaucoup. I tried. And let me just say, it's like a full-time job, right? Because you're researching facts, you're refreshing your memory, you're speaking to countless people, and then you have a family, you have a life, you have work, you have goals to meet, you have food to put on the table. Yeah, so, but happy to do this, happy to be back. In a different kind of screen than when I practiced 15, 16 years ago on television. I mean, it's a great time to be alive. It's heartbreaking that we are still having these kind of conversations after 92, after 2004. In fact, opposition leaders cannot even come out and protest in peace, cannot hold meetings in peace. The country has retrogressed when it comes to personal liberties and civil rights. Does anybody see Mr. Tchameni on the live here? Because I do not see him. He keeps telling me he's here. I'm not able to add him until he can be in. And he's really the man of the moment that we are waiting for. So without him, there's not too much to say, right? Because he makes the show in the sense that he answers the questions that we have for him. So yeah. I'm circling between a different application and this one, having a conversation, a cyber conversation with him, because he's trying to connect. And he should be able to do so pretty easily because he's a computer whiz. He's supposed to be a computer whiz. So not sure what's going on, but we're waiting. It's a waiting game. Okay, I see you, and I have gone ahead and added you, and so in any moment we should be able to start the conversation. Good evening, and it's so good to speak with you. I know that you're just arriving Yaoundé, and I know how crazy your day has been, so I really do appreciate the sacrifice, Mr. Tchameni.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. I can hear you very well.
Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Yeah. All right, then. Very good. All right. Sorry about all of this, but I sat in this hotel. They don't have internet connection. I had to rush and then buy some airtime and just try to make ends meet. So sorry for the delay. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. How's your journey, though? How are the roads?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, I
Yes,
can
I
hear
can
you very well. How are the
I can
roads?
hear
How
you
was
now.
your journey?
Oh, it was well. I came from Duala to Yaoundé by train.
Okay.
It is with the plane the least stressful way of traveling between the two cities.
Okay.
However, you still have to leave from your house to the train station and then from the train station to your hotel.
Okay.
And in Douala, as well as in Yaoundé, you have potholes everywhere. It's almost like it's intentional. Roads in Douala look much like the road in Gaza that is under bombs for so many, many months. It's extraordinary what's happening to us, in this country. But yes, I am there. I survived all the potholes, and then I'm in my hotel now talking to you.
And it's really unfortunate because less than 10% in 43 years of power, Paul Biya has only succeeded to tar less than 10% of the road network of the country. I just wanted to put those numbers there because I was doing some research recently and I found that, and I just found that it was alarming, especially for a country that continues to grow with the potential that we have. But that said, I wanted us to discuss why we are taking your time today. And that is the group of Duala, which you told me is now defunct because it has completed its mission and it has given birth to the Union for Change 2025 version. But when do you join the group of Duala?
I joined the group of Douala, I would say about 4 or 5 months ago, sent by an alliance I've been working with for the past 2 years, the Alliance for Transition and Refoundation. The group of Douala announced itself as a group of individuals with uh, political experience and with a certain amount of neutrality and who wanted to work to build a coalition, a winning coalition for the presidential election in 2025. I was called by and said to come and then join them, and I got the approval of the alliance I was working with to go and then join that group because indeed the objective of the Alliance for Transition and the Foundation was very similar, if not the same, as that of the group of Duala, except that the Alliance for Transition and the Foundation was made of political parties and associations. We had about 20 members, but whereas the group of Duala was made of individuals that acted in their individual capacity.
But I
So I
have a
did show.
question, and I
Yes,
don't
ma'am.
mean to cut you off, but when I look at the Duala group, the likes of the Anise Ekanes, the Sambakas, and then yourself in recent times, and then I look at the Union for Change, the same thing comes up. We only see men. We don't see any Anglophones. Did you take into consideration the question of representation, especially in the context where, of course, Anglophones are clamoring for more representation? They want to be seen. Women, I mean, you have brave hearts, the likes of Maximilian Ngombe, for example. We have women like Alice Nkom. Are these people you consulted before you came up with this group to give it a national? Because it just looks like a group, a club of a boys' club in Douala that just decided, you know what, we want to make our voices heard and be relevant.
Yes, well, let me say this. There was no intention to exclude uh, or actually to include any specific group or to appear representative because our goal was to build a coalition which itself will be representative. And it's almost so what was important was to find the type of people that we wanted. So as I before I joined the group, Ariel Ekwe was in the group, but for one reason or the other, she stopped working with the group. I know about Oyono was in the group, and when he declared his preference for um, Maurice Kamto as a candidate, he could no longer work in the group because
But
the group.
Anissa Ekane as well declared his support for Maurice Kamto, but somehow still in the group.
Oh, yes.
Why didn't he
Whoa,
recuse
whoa.
himself as well?
No, no, this is what happened though. People have missed a step here. As soon as Manidem invested Maurice Kamto as the candidate, Anise Ekane was set aside of the group of Duala. It was only after Maurice Kamto was not retained as a candidate that he came back in the group. So that's what happened.
Happened.
Of
Okay.
course, people kind of miss the step, yes. And then like, I have to tell you the goal of the group of Douala was very, very specific. And people confuse the group with a platform or a coalition and compare it to other existing organizations. No,
But
the group of Douala was a
doesn't that mean in itself that it's because there's a plethora that people get overwhelmed with all of these different groups and platforms?
Yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. But I have to say this is that people have to, increase their ability to discern and then to distinguish between things that are in front of them. Because what happened is the group of Douala published a paper and then said, who are we? What do we want? And then how do we operate? And most people simply didn't read it and then they start just assuming things. The group of Duala had one simple goal. It was to talk to all the presidential candidates. In fact, even before they had gone in front of the Electoral Council, the group had already started talking to the potential, to any person that say, I want to be a candidate. Then our goal was to speak to each one of them and to stress two things. One, the necessity of of building a winning coalition. Second, the understanding that such a winning coalition could only be done on the basis of a common program. So those are the two things that were that characterized the group. And then so as we went to the people, we said to them, look, we are suggesting that we build a common program, a common platform of transition and the foundation of Cameroon and go to this election together with the goal of winning the election and then having a short period of transition where all the political dispensation will be overhauled and then a new one set in place. So that's what Duala was all about. And
But
I would
aren't there
say that
similarities, Mr. Tchameni? Aren't there similarities with the Duala group and the Union for Change that now came? Because I was looking at some of the related information, and of course, they speak of a commonality of a political program. They speak of the candidate taking taking an oath to campaign with the platform's political program or the Union for Change's political program and not their personal political program. So there's a spillover into the Union for Change, and then, of course, asking them to sign an undertaking to not stay in power for more than 3 to 5 years, a national unity or transition government as well. And then of course, a national dialogue or a series of national dialogues. That I speak here of the Union for Change. And because we are speaking of the Union for Change, next question I want to ask you. Today, September 11th, is the deadline for candidates to signal their desires to be fielded as the consensus candidate or the consensual candidate per the Union for Change.
yes.
How many candidates have shown, have put up their hands to say, hey, we want to be a part of this venture?
Okay, I want to go a little bit backward to make the distinction between the group of Douala and the Union for Change.
Okay.
The group of Douala, to use an analogy, the group of Douala were builders and then the Union for Change is a house. So we built a house, we built a coalition. We were able, by consulting with various political and social actors, to build, to come up with a common program of transition and refoundation. And now we were in the process of recruiting members, political parties, civil society organizations, as well as personality and then just common citizen. They can become member of the Union for Change. Now, the first Union for Change in 2025, and the first act of that Union for Change is to select a candidate, is to get the members that have joined the Union for Change to go to the candidates and then tell them, look, if you agree to a common program, and then you also undertake to run the country for 3 to 5 years only, implement the program, and now have a single mandate and leave after you've organized election for the next president, then we will consider you as a potential consensual candidate. Then if, and the date of the 13th of September is the date where we meet now with all the candidates that have agreed, that have signed that oath, and we select among them one. And this is the process. The process consists of, if they are more than one, of course, we would give them 1 hour to discuss among themselves and then see if they can by themselves come up with a single consensual candidate. If they cannot, then we will vote. That is the current members of the Union for Change at the date of the 13th of September 2025 will then go ahead and then vote that consensual candidate.
So that's 2 days from now. What is the feedback you are getting from the political parties? We have 11 candidates running for president, or 12, if my 12 candidates. It's been such a whirlwind in the last 3 months, so forget, I stand to be corrected. But yeah, 12 candidates running for president. What is the feedback that you're getting?
Okay, before I answer that question, I want you and then all your million of followers to understand the paradigm shift that we made concerning who can become a member of the group of the Union for Change. The Union for Change is not, I emphasize that, a coalition of candidates that were retained by Clement Atangana. That is not what...
We agree with you. Civil society, individuals, politicians, everybody who is interested. But at the end of the day, this is to field a consensus candidate that was validated by Clement Atangana, to put it in your words. And that's why I'm asking the feedback you are getting from the candidates, because you're going to pick from one of them to run.
No, our intention is not to get all the candidates to agree. In 1992, when Mr. John Fundi was the consensus candidate of the Union for Change, there were 9 other candidates. So our goal is not to seek or find a single candidate. We don't have that as a goal.
So Mr. Tchameni, from what you're saying is you picked your candidate in 92 and there were other candidates, true. But how is it a consensus? So it's not a consensus to the opposition. It is just a candidate that you pick with a group of other organizations. And that leads me to ask you, because obviously there have been some questions regarding this, right? Is this a move to strong arm other opposition parties to support a particular candidate which you may already have chosen? There are rumors of Issa Chiruma being your pick. So I just wanted you to clear that.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors going on, but right as we speak right now, there has not been a candidate selected, because the selection of the candidate is going to be made on the 13th of September. at 10 o'clock. So we have a meeting from 10 to 12, and then we hope that 12 noon on the 13th of September, we will have a candidate, and then we will have a press conference, present it to the press, and now move on to the stadium to present that candidate to the people.
Okay.
The key thing to understand here is that we are not the one that decide who is going to be a consensual candidate. I mean, in the sense that we don't exclude nobody, we don't have a biased approach as such. No, what we wrote to all the candidates, we gave them the platform, and then we gave them the candidature oath. We said, if you are interested in moving with us in this common platform, which the people of Cameroon, well, when we say the people of Cameroon, of course, it's not all the 30 million of Cameroonians that agree on it, but when you read that platform, which was arrived at as a result of consulting the platform of all political parties and consulting civil society organizations, we arrived at 6 big issues that we felt Cameroonians needed to address in order to give to the country a new foundation. And if a candidate agrees to campaign around that program, rather than the program of his own political party, then he is a consensus candidate. So the consensus candidate is a person that consents to run, to go beyond his own political party, his partisan and partisan interest, but to look at the common interest and then say, look, I will run under this program, and then I will run with all the people for 5 years, 3 to 5 years, we fix the country, and then that's it. So the notion
I
of
have a
consensus
question.
clearly understood. It's not that we will have all the 11 people to agree. I tell you, we will never get them to all agree. We
Before
understood
we get
that.
into those details, hold your thoughts. Um, as soon as I announced that I was going to be speaking with you today, there was backlash, and I even came under some threats, and I was accused of being in a conspiracy with you. And there've been comments, right, that are hostile. I take, for instance, Man Ishaka says you are not to be trusted and you should not be involved in any group.
Who
Why
is
do you
that?
think that? Why do you
Who
think
said?
that? Why
Who
do you?
said what?
So there's backlash, and there are comments that I take an example. Somebody who is viewing us has just said his name is Manny Shaka, and he says you are not to be trusted, and you should not be
Yeah.
involved in any group when it comes to a coalition, building a coalition. Why do you think that some people have cold feet when you're involved in these groups and these meetings or these initiatives to find a common candidate?
Well, I don't take it personally. I
Okay.
don't think that if people, if some people, I don't know, a couple of people, there may be 4 or 5 of them, say that they don't like me, that I should go ahead and then commit suicide. You understand? I've been in political life for almost 45 years. And, so there's some people that like me, there are others that don't. That's just the breaks, that's
Okay.
just life.
So
So
we can move forward. We can proceed.
I have a thick skin. I don't let those type of things worry me
Okay.
because usually nobody's. So I don't.
Now regarding your prerequisites for a consensus candidate, your request to all these people is a common political program. But we're speaking of ideologies that very often quite differ quite a lot. Is it realistic to ask them for you to come together and build a common political program when some of them are closer to the extreme left or extreme right than others? Do you think
Yeah.
that this?
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish the question.
Yeah, so is it a realistic expectation to ask these different candidates to come together to create a common political program or to
No,
adhere to your political program?
I just told you that number one, this program was taken as a common denominator of the things that were found in the program of almost all political parties in Cameroon. And then I can just run them to you.
Okay.
Number one priority is to bring back peace in Northwest and Southwest, and then bring security in the Far North. Number one. Number two, to get Cameroonian to reconcile themselves
But you and I
with them.
know, Mr. Tchameni, you and I know
Yes,
that everybody can
yes.
say we want peace in the Northwest and Southwest, but the approaches are completely different.
That's
Some people say
that's
that decentralization, for instance, Mr. Matomba told me last week, we should explore the proper implementation of decentralization because, according to him, it is a form or the beginning of federalism. We have another group of people who believe, no, we want federalism and we want a two-state federation. And there's some who say, no, we want a 10-state. Others say 5 states. Some say, and as a prerequisite, some politicians are saying we need to take the political prisoners to trial first, and if they are found not guilty, release them. Others are saying no, these are prisoners of opinion, they should be released unconditionally. Now, the devil is in the details, and that's why I ask the feasibility of you
exactly.
agreeing on all of these details.
No, you see, ma'am, if you take any numbers, any person that have done, I wouldn't even call it algebra, it's arithmetics, that is grade class 4, 5. There's something that is called, finding the common denominator in a number, in a series of numbers that you have, and then just find this one thing that everybody can agree on, and then push at the later stage the discussion on the details. I take an example, for instance. The program says we shall discuss the form of state. So now you have two groups of people in Cameroon. There are some people that say that no, the form of state is fine the way it is, and then others that say no, there's something that we can discuss about. Now, those in the first group will simply won't come to us, right? Is that right? UNDP doesn't think that the form of state needs to be discussed. They told us that. So that's fine. They don't come and join the Union for Change. But there are a lot of other groups that believe that it must change. Now, but they may have different approaches. What we do is that we postpone the discussion on the approach after we take power, and then we call a true grand national dialogue. So that's the approach. So we just raise the issues that must be discussed, and then we say, as soon as the president of transition is elected, he will call a true dialogue that will start from the neighborhood, move to the municipality, then to the subdivision, to the division, to the region, and now to the nation. And then we'll discuss all the issues that we have. So what we are proposing actually as a as a Union for Change is an approach to solving our problem. And then we're saying, look, the Cameroon is in a serious state of disrepair, and then we cannot be bickering around the various ideologies and then the various approaches to a problem. Let's identify the problem, and then let's say to ourselves, since Mr. Biya in 43 years are not even allow us to sit down and discuss those things, that we will win the election, and then the president of transition will undertake that as soon as he's elected, he will organize this grand dialogue where Cameroonians will sit and then address the problem freely, and then find solutions that are more, I say, appropriate to solve those problems while keeping the nation together.
People,
So that.
politicians, yeah, politicians who are considered as key players in this 2025 electoral process, the likes of Bello Buba Margari, who is the UNDP candidate and recently resigned from government, but who seems to have a decent enough apparatus in the northern parts of the country, or even around the country. We've seen the crowds and we've seen his mobilization as he travels around the country, meeting different well-wishers in preview of the upcoming electoral campaigns, but also Jean-Michel Nietzsche, in his name or in the name of the APC and his candidate Maurice Kamto. These are some political actors or towering figures who have distanced themselves from your initiative. Don't you feel that that dings the credibility of this UPC 2025 that you are trying to build? I understand that it's not only about politicians, but we're speaking of an election. Wouldn't you have liked to have them there as part of the process?
Okay, now you can't force anybody to come in a unity movement.
Mr.
You can
Tchameni,
only
that's
propose.
not the Mr. Tchameni.
Just,
Just be honest, heart to heart. Wouldn't you have liked to have
you,
them?
you ask a question, let me answer. You cannot force anyone to come into any process that the person doesn't want to. Cameroon may still be a dictatorship, but I think people have the freedom to choose the churches they go to, the party they want to belong to, and then they want to the coalition they wish to work with. We are proposing a coalition. We're not saying that we have the whole truth and then the only truth. What we're saying is that today, as I'm speaking, we have 15 political parties that have joined the Union for Change and about 35 civil society organizations, and we still recruiting more and more people are writing, sending the thing, and then we will put up the list of all the people that are members of this Union for Change, as well as the process of choosing the candidate. It will be transparent, it's going to be televised, and then live as we are meeting.
Vous
So at
êtes
that
dans le
time,
secret des dieux parce que peut-être vous êtes même le dieu de l'union des forces du changement version 2025. Vous pouvez nous donner du moins la primeur sur le nom de 5 partis qui sont déjà membres de cette organisation.
oui, il y a le Manidem, qui est le parti auquel, jusqu'aux dernières nouvelles, appartient Maurice Kamto et qui a investi Maurice Kamto. Ce n'est pas l'APC qui a investi Maurice Kamto. L'APC n'existe pas, je veux dire. C'est le Manidem qui a investi Maurice Kamto. Il est un membre de Lyon pour le changement. Il y a le MDI qui est membre de Lyon pour le changement. Si vous me donnez le truc, ouais, attendez une seconde. Je veux vous donner les 11 partis qui sont membres de cette organisation, si vous voulez. Une petite seconde que je puisse mettre la main dessus. Si je savais que vous alliez m'interroger comme ça, je n'aurais plus tous mes documents. une petite seconde, donnez-moi une petite seconde.
I mean, c'est dans le souci de l'information, because I mean, people perish due to a lack of information. So we just want to know.
Exactly. Yeah, hold on one second.
I know
I'll give you
sometimes
the
people
name.
think that curiosity kills the cat, but this time around, I think it empowers the cat to know where the mice are.
Yes. Just give me 1 second, please.
Absolutely.
And then I'll open
time.
I don't think people that invite. I was writing that today. Okay, unfortunately, I don't have the acronym of all those political parties, but I will list them. Manidem, okay, MDI, that's my own political party. UPC, one branch of UPC, the one that is led by that invested Dominique Timba. Okay. The PDCC of President Atemenge Esomba, the Parti Simplifié, the MNPC, you know, I mean, there's 4 or 5 political parties from the Marwa, Gaundere. So I could just list them to you, and then later on, also Manidem, MDI, PDCC, UPC, ADC, MPC, PS, PRPC. You know, so those are some of the parties that have joined.
The most popular party is the Manidem, where Maurice Kamto is still a member, but for some reason, the APC, for which he was an ally and is still an ally, says no, he's not aware of the UFC. So are you trying to tell us that he is aware of it?
I forgot to list one party. Okay. FSNC has joined too.
Okay, so that is Issa Chiroma's party.
Yeah, they have joined. So
so far, the only party with a candidate who is running for president is the FSNC of Issa Chiroma.
Yes, so far. Okay. We are talking to, there are 2 other parties that have shown, I would say, leaning toward the coalition that have a political candidate. Well, let's say in this case, it's the candidate that showed interest in the Union for Change. That is Barrister Akere. All his program is based on transition.
Okay.
If anybody reads Barrister Akere's program is exactly, it's almost like we copycatted his program. It's like transition, one-term presidency, fix the country, and then I leave. And then you have this young candidate that's called Ateki Caxton. That also is discussing with his partners to join. I until Saturday, I can't tell you any more than what I tell you now, because
Okay.
the membership form keep coming. And then in terms of association, you have quite a lot of associations that they're too many for me to just list them. But one thing I guarantee you is that not only on Saturday you will have the full name of those associations with the president or the representative that they will send to the meeting in Yaoundé. But you have instead of having those like PD, MP, PC, you know exactly what that party means. And then I think that what we will do also is probably put the headquarters of the party and something maybe so that people see that it's not fake organization but actual
Saturday
political party.
is the day for you. That's the day when you sit down in a conclave or some kind of a meeting and you designate and you present it to the public at a meeting at the Amadou Ahijo Stadium later in the day. But there's an issue. The DO who is responsible for that area of the national territory says that you need an authorization from the stadium's management organization. And he says that you cannot guarantee national security or security during that event. And so he has not given you an authorization. How are you resolving this?
Yeah.
You don't have much time.
Look. First of all, I am surprised that some Cameroonians are happy that the government is violating the rights of political parties and citizens to organize a peaceful manifestation. The
Gathering.
law of Cameroon is very clear. The law is clear. All those things that they are asking are not part of the law.
You are
You
just
go to
supposed to inform.
you inform them, and then they are the one that's supposed to bring police and gendarmes to secure the gathering. So since when, they are asking us to not only what they did is, this is what happened. The organization that was assigned with getting the authorization for the particular event was Manidem. So they filed an application actually last Friday. They said that the DO was not there. I asked them to come on Monday. They came on Monday and then expected, like, for all declaration, you go and then the DO gives you immediately a récépissé. That's what the law said. He's not supposed to be speculating as to whether something is going to happen or what's going to happen.
Non, nous
He
sommes
gives
dans un
you.
régime de déclaration pour les manifestations publiques et vous n'avez pas apporté des justifs pour une autorisation ou quoi que ce soit.
Pas du tout. Pas du tout. Maintenant, l'autorité administrative, après vous avoir donné le récépissé, garde le pouvoir d'interdire votre manifestation. Si par la suite, pour une raison ou pour une autre, elle a une information qui lui permet d'être sûr qu'il y a un risque de trouble à l'ordre public, etc., etc. Mais dans le cas d'espèce, ils ont fait le chemin inverse. C'est-à-dire, ils refusent de donner le récépissé. Vous allez dans le bureau du sous-préfet, vous allez au secrétariat, le secrétariat vous dit qu'on a donné des instructions, qu'on ne reçoit pas les déclarations de manifestation. Seul le sous-préfet lui-même reçoit des déclarations. Or, le sous-préfet n'est pas là. Maintenant, c'est une course-poursuite. Vous commencez à guetter le sous-préfet. Dès qu'il arrive, vous foncez dans son bureau et il prend votre papier et il signe seulement sur une décharge, ce qui est absolument illégal. Et dans le cadre de l'application du Manidem, ils ont non seulement refusé de donner le récépissé, mais ils ont appelé l'ONIES. Et on demandait à l'ONIES de nous donner des conditions qu'on ne pouvait pas remplir. Par exemple, il fallait qu'on prenne une police d'assurance en responsabilité civile. Vous avez déjà entendu ça, vous?
So it's just a cat and mouse game to deter you from hosting your event. Do you have a plan B? Because, I mean, you can see the signs. The government does not want this meeting to hold.
Yeah. Clearly, we have a plan. We have a plan B, and then you will understand that I won't be saying it in the air, or else they will block it too. But definitely, I want to say to Cameroonian people that we will not submit to this type of dictatorship. You know, Anita and myself, you know, we are trained revolutionaries. We're not the type of.
You were in jail for 5 years. It was 5 years, right? Late 80s to early 90s, right before the SDF was legalized. Am I correct?
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
And then after that, you had to exile yourself for another few years. I think you moved back probably around 2019, 2018. I think yeah, there's a blur, but I think it's about that time that you moved back to Cameroon.
I want that issue for the young people because a lot of young people think that the fight started in 2018 and stuff like that. But, you know, I've been involved in this thing since I was about 15 years old. That's you're talking about in the year 19...
because I think you have a story. There's a story of you with the Lycée Polyvalent, a movement that you started when you were probably 13 or 14. Yeah, but I just wanted to read.
But let me just pass this message. There is such thing as a training for people that want to bring social change. There is a training. People should never think that emotion alone is sufficient to bring about a change, especially when you're fighting against a ruthless...
Aren't you making the entry into activism elitist? I mean, look at Senegal. I remember the last time I visited that country in late 2014, late 2013. Wait, yeah. I remember seeing strikes. Taxi drivers were on strike because the government had decided to raise the price of tuition. They paralyzed Dakar to a point where the government caved in and did not raise the prices. Do you think these people had any training? No, they were not educated, but they understood the sense of collective interest.
I know Senegal very well, as you know that I was in exile in West Africa in Burkina Faso for 5 years, but when I was there, I just didn't stay in Burkina and not move around. I moved in almost every West African country, and then the difference that I found between West Africa and Central Africa, generally speaking, including Cameroon, is the level of social consciousness of the average citizen. And this level of consciousness, you achieve it in the long run by as a result of some civil society organization and political parties that make it their duty to raise the political consciousness of the people and train cadre that are able, when there is an issue like that one, to encadrer la population pour qu'elle manifeste.
What you're saying is that the country needs visionaries and thought leaders to encourage the masses or to make the masses aware. There's a lack of awareness is what you are saying. We're going to get to that before.
The lack of desire by political actors, particularly political party actors, to train the militants. And then what they do is they appeal to the lowly sentiments, and then they don't. That's one of the reasons why Cameroon is not moving forward. And then that you have hate speech, tribalism, and stuff like that, because that's what political parties use.
Hold your thought,
Yes.
Mr. Tchameni. We're going to get to that. Before, E.T. Jaff, who is watching us, says it is your initiative, the Union for Change 25 is a great initiative, and he thinks the organizers should be applauded. No one single party in Cameroon can succeed to replace Mr. Biya. Cyril Tafto asks, what about Bello Buba? I know he had issued a statement yesterday to distance himself from your event, and he's even organizing on the same Saturday a Zoom call where he plans to discuss his democratic reforms if elected, the role of the diaspora, as well as talks engaged towards a coalition. Have you?
May I
Mhm.
respond to that?
Yes.
May I respond to Bello Buba? All right, look, Bello Buba, like all the candidates, received the document that we sent, the Union for Change documents. Bello Buba, like all the candidates, were visited by the group of Duala. I was part of that delegation personally. When I went to Mr. Bello Buba's house, I was greeted at the door by B soldiers. And then when I came I came and speak to him, I asked him, can you show me your letter of resignation? He didn't show me the letter of resignation. Two of his ministers that that joined the government with him, because he had three ministers, two of them are still in office. And then the last
Mais
time,
la décision d'être ministre n'est-ce pas une affaire personnelle? Lui, si ses collaborateurs disent qu'il a démissionné, vous dites le contraire parce que vous n'avez pas vu sa lettre de démission?
non, je ne dis pas le contraire parce que je n'ai pas vu la lettre de démission. Je vous donne des faits qui sont indiscutables. C'est-à-dire que envoyer, vous êtes journaliste, demandez à n'importe lequel de vos collègues d'aller visiter Bello Buba dans sa maison à Oja. Ici, il est à 500 mètres de Maurice Kamto. Il a quitté sa maison de fonction, il est allé dans
Maurice
son
Kamto
propre
est
domicile.
à Oja, Monsieur Djeukam
Oui, oui,
Tchameni.
oui. Yes, Santa Barbara, pardon. Santa Barbara, c'est le MRC c'est le headquarter qui est à Oja. Mais sa maison est à Santa Barbara. Et ils sont pratiquement dans la même rue, pratiquement. Et donc, c'est pour vous dire qu'il est parti là-bas. Hein, c'est
Donc
à
vous êtes
Santa
allé
Barbara.
rencontrer Bello et vous lui avez demandé sa lettre de démission.
C'est-à-dire que je l'ai fait pour les deux personnes qui ont prétendu avoir démissionné. Parce que c'était très important. Nous n'allons pas, c'est-à-dire que les gens ne peuvent pas souvent faire des déclarations et nous nous contentons de ça. On était le groupe de Douala, des gens quand même expérimentés. Et quand on allait les voir, ce n'était pas qu'on ne croyait pas. Au contraire, on croyait qu'ils allaient nous donner sa vie fierté et qu'on allait dire à la population, écoutez, ces gens ont effectivement rompu avec le régime RDPC. Donc, je veux dire, en ce qui concerne M. Bello Buba, il y a un faux d'éléments que je m'apprête à vous lister. Encore, déjà, on n'a pas vu la lettre, personne n'a vu, ces deux ministres sont toujours là. Bello Buba nous a dit, quand on l'a rencontré, que, écoutez-moi, je suis candidat à la présidence, mais il n'y a rien dans les accords que j'ai signés avec M. Biya qui m'empêche d'être candidat à la présidence. Donc, même, il n'a même pas dénoncé les accords qu'il y avait le RDPC. Et dans son cortège, il y a plein de voitures CA. Pour ceux qui ne savent pas, c'est corps administratif. Ce sont les voitures de l'État. Bon, donc, je dis ça, c'est pour dire quoi? Que j'étais absolument surpris de voir sa lettre dans laquelle il disait qu'on a dit qu'il allait être avec nous. On n'a jamais dit ça nulle part. Au contraire, nous avons émis beaucoup de doutes sur la sincérité de sa démission et sur la facilité avec laquelle il se balade partout et il fait des manifestations sans avoir la moindre contrainte avec des voitures de l'État et avec la protection des gens de l'État.
Monsieur Tchameni, tout
Donc,
récemment, dans le Nord, quand même, et ça, ce n'est pas pour le défendre, mais pour les faits, pour le souci des faits, lorsqu'il était dans le Nord tout récemment, il a été dans un premier temps interdit par un sous-préfet. La population a carrément pris sur elle de porter la voiture avec ses mains du sous-préfet.
oui,
Et
oui,
c'est ça qui a
oui, oui.
poussé le préfet à se dépêcher, je pense. Non, et c'est cela qui a débouché sur un relâchement, si vous voulez. Vous pensez que ce n'est pas suffisant? qu'ils vivent les mêmes tracasseries administratives, un peu comme vous vivez au
Nous
stade
avons,
omnisports aujourd'hui?
nous
Ce n'est pas...
nous avons,
Mhm,
madame, nous avons eu 2 personnes qui ont démissionné.
mhm.
D'accord? Et on peut faire une étude comparative des démissions. Donc, moi, je dis simplement que dans le cas de Belobouba, cette sortie était inopportune et surprenante parce que nulle part dans aucun de nos documents, nous n'avons mentionné son nom. Nous n'avons pas reçu de sa part un truc dont il n'est ni invité, ni d'ailleurs la bienvenue à notre réunion. Pourquoi? Parce que nous avons trop d'indices qui montrent qu'il n'a pas rompu avec le régime RDPC. Et nous ne pouvons pas être union change et on se met à traiter avec des gens qui sont un pied dedans, un pied dehors.
Donc, en
S'il
somme,
démissionne, il faut de façon claire, comme Issa Chourouma l'a fait. C'est-à-dire une démission nette, claire, il quitte son poste, toutes les personnes qu'il y a dans le gouvernement le quittent. Et voilà, et généralement, ce que vous allez voir, ce qui se passe, c'est que, bon, le gouvernement commence à vous menacer, commence à essayer de vous diviser, enfin, bref, des choses de ce genre-là. Mais lui, il est clair, il est net. Vous lui demandez sa lettre de démission, il vous tend la copie avec la décharge, etc., etc. Vous pouvez l'appeler, vous lui demandez, il le fera. Donc, je compare seulement les 2 démissionnaires, hein, et je dis qu'il y a un qui ne me paraît pas avoir démissionné encore, et si c'est lui qui écrit une lettre et que je dois lui répondre, j'ai donné la réponse. Pour moi, il travaille pour le
selon
RDPC.
votre choix personnel, au-delà de l'UFC, quel est votre candidat préféré, le meilleur cheval pour cette élection?
Je n'ai pas, et ça va vous surprendre, pour dire la vérité, en tant que personne d'obédience de gauche, socialiste, s'il m'était donné à choisir un candidat, je choisirais un parti, disons. Je choisirais le SDF pour son programme parce que c'est le programme qui est le plus à gauche parmi tous les programmes que j'ai lus. Simplement, ma position est qu'aujourd'hui, ce n'est pas l'heure de discuter des programmes des partis. Il faut d'abord qu'on change la fondation du Cameroun et qu'on mette une nouvelle dispensation politique qui permette justement aux partis de pouvoir se déployer librement, éduquer la population et vendre leurs programmes de manière à ce que dans 3 ans ou dans 5 ans, ils partent dans des élections avec un nouveau code électoral et dans le cadre d'une nouvelle constitution qui sera beaucoup plus sérieuse que ce document qu'on a aujourd'hui,
So,
qui n'est
for
qu'une
a
couture pour
political
une.
program, your choice is the SDF. But I ask again, the candidate, and I
No,
ask
no, hey,
because, and Mr. Tchameni, I ask
I
because I
don't
was
have,
reading an article
have a choice.
today.
I don't have a choice if today for 2025 my candidate is going to be the one that's going to be picked by the member of the Union for Change on Saturday 13, 2025, just like my candidate in 1992 wasn't the candidate of the party that I love, but he was the candidate of SDF at the time, which was not the best candidate in my eyes. I can guarantee you that. That was a man that just walked out of CPDM just a couple of months ago, and that could speak English and French, and had no understanding
But he
of it.
was really
So he was not.
charismatic, and I want us to
No,
leave Mr.
I'm just
Tchameni.
telling you that
Mhm.
I don't feel that there are times in the history of a nation where you don't make the choice that pleases you, but you make the choice that allow the country to move forward.
Mr. Tchameni, I
Indeed, he
wanted
didn't
to
have
know
one.
the choice that pleased
One
you. You're
was the
saying
right
that in
candidate.
92, you're saying that in 92, the choice of Frundi did not please you, but it was the UFC's choice, and so you went with it. Now, again, you're
Yes, ma'am.
saying your choice is going to be the choice of the USC. Now, are you saying that there's
Yes.
never a choice that can satisfy you?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I just told you that
So
if
which
you
one
ask
is your personal choice?
if after we've gone through a period of transition, I will vote for a party that will be sovereignist, socialist, and Pan-Africanist. Those are
I
my
and
3 lines of ideology.
okay.
Right
And as
now, right now, right now, none of those parties has those 3 elements. But I was just making a comparison. That is, of all, most of the political parties have political programs that are not too far from CPDM political program. They are neoliberal, very tendency toward communitarism and stuff like that. But that's okay. That's what they want to do. But having said that, I would right now, the main objective is to get rid of Mr. Bia. Therefore, like the Bishop of Yagua, I say, even if it's the devil, I will use him to get rid of Bia first. Once we get rid of Bia, then we'll fix the things.
You know, I was reading an article today on the NIH.
I don't have to love the candidate. I just have to be a candidate that has the potential because he's backed up by a lot of other organizations to win this election.
I was reading,
so he has to have
I was reading
minimal
an article today from the NIH website, and it's interesting because some studies are being carried out, and it's being more and more revealed that people actually elect personality a lot more than political ideology or program, right?
I beg to differ, because it is the case. It is the case in countries that have good political dispensation, democratic culture, and then where most common issues have been solved. Then you can take the cutest
Mr.
president.
Tchameni, how many of these politicians here are reading those political programs, in all honesty?
None of them. Who? Where? In Cameroon?
I mean, how many supporters do you think are reading the political programs? They want to speak, identify with somebody they resonate with. And for you to be able to carry a program, Mr. Tchameni, isn't there a need for the candidate to be able to carry the program that you're selling? To be able to sell the program, it takes a personality.
A program of transition doesn't need a genius or cutest person or a most intelligent person or anything like that. What that program needs
people that can be loved. It needs people that the population can resonate with. You don't agree on that? So you think that we could just pick Jean Djeukam in 92 and he will get elected?
I don't, because I was there in 1992. A lot of people that are talking like that were not part of the process, and they don't know that Frundi was not loved. And then today, we don't need to love the candidate. What we need to do is to love what that candidate is going to do. What he promises that he's going to do, that is going to clean up Cameroon. That's what we need to love. And then that's what led us to, what made people vote for Frundi was not that they loved him. Frundi was speaking in Pidgin in places where people didn't even understand Pidgin. You know, so, but what you know what they were voting for? Because, you know, first of all, a consensus candidate has to have many political parties around him. And for that, what makes him attractive first is the attraction that he has on political actors, because he has a simplified program of taking us one step forward, which is a step that everybody sees as beneficial. In 1992, what carried the day was the fact that we promised the people that we will have the Sovereign National Conference, and then we will have a transition for 2 years. People forget that completely, and then they come with this legend that it was because Frundi was cute and he was charismatic, all of that. It wasn't.
So
it wasn't that.
Frundi was not charismatic and he was not loved?
I didn't love him.
You were probably a minority.
Whatever the case might be, but there was the 36% or the 30% that voted for me. I didn't like him neither. The 20% that voted for.
They voted him enough for him to get to win the election, Mr. Tchameni. Are you going to deny him that?
I am not denying anything to anyone. I'm just saying that politics is not emotion. That's all I'm saying.
But human beings are, you see, politics is run by people, and they are human beings. So to say that politics is not emotion when it's not an exact science is not exactly true. But beyond the Frundi era, we also have your points of view as well.
To set the stage for today, for this transition, to beat Mr. Bia right now, in 2025, we don't have to be looking for a lover boy or somebody that we're going to love. We have to look for a person that can carry this program of transition and then be able to manage all this support. That is, I'm sure that by the end of the process, we will have maybe 50 political parties. That person has to have the leadership ability to maintain the group together, and then once he maintains the group together, then those various groups will now go and campaign, and then have their
Mr.
followers.
Djeukam,
So
Tchameni, several. Mhm.
Miss Angie, you keep interrupting me. You will never understand my point. And then that's the thing. What makes a coalition strong is not the leader of the coalition. It is the members of the coalition that each one go now and then bring the people along. If you have an association of women, let's say, or you have an association of sauveteurs or motorbike and stuff like that, that join the Union for Change, or you have an association of students, then that association goes and then work among the students and then show them why it is so important to vote that man. You don't have to love him. You vote him because you have the expectation that if he's elected, he will solve a problem that concerns you.
Eric
So
Acha
this notion
asks me, Mr. Tchameni, Eric Acha
of
asks me to ask you
yeah.
whether Frundi, he wants you to state whether and have it on record whether Frundi won the elections. He thinks that the clarification is important.
The union of change won, not the individual. The union of change, that coalition won. Yes, it did. It wasn't the SDF and it wasn't John Frundi. It was a coalition that won. There is no single party, no single individual in Cameroon ever that can beat CPDM. Never.
But the candidate
It's
was
only a
one
coalition.
person, and
Who's
that's
that?
just the intricacy, but that's a fact. The candidate was a person. The face of your coalition was Frundi.
Exactly. It was the face of the coalition, yes, but it's a coalition that won.
So moving
Uh,
on
You
to
know, you know why I'm saying that? It's because today we're facing pretty much the same thing. We need to build a coalition. We tried of selling individuals. If it was Frundi that had won at 39%, because I believe that he won, as a candidate, he was the candidate, he was the face of the coalition, and then he had a result that I believe to be 39%, and Biya had 36. So now when he went alone as SDF, next time he was at 17%, then he went again alone, he was at 11%, and then today SDF is at 3%. So the point I'm trying to make is people should forget this notion that one individual and one party can ever win.
Mr.
It's
Tchameni,
impossible.
political
Yes.
pundits, many of them believe that the reason why the opposition's numbers has continued to dwindle throughout the years after Frundi demystified the BR regime in 92 is not because the opposition cannot win, but it's because the regime was so rattled that they decided with their rigging machine to begin to fakely increase the numbers between the winner and the runner-up, so that if an opposition, allow me
Believe it.
finish,
I
allow
don't
me
believe
finish,
it.
sir, so that if an opposition leader came up to say, hey, I run, the numbers would be so far apart that nobody would believe him, and it had nothing to do with the real scores. So are you saying that, are you blaming the opposition when really you
No,
are also admitting that the
no.
regime has been extremely ruthless towards dissidents?
The regime has been ruthless and then the opposition has been stupid. So if we're not able to sometime look at our own fault and then we always point that it's somebody else's fault, we will never have the proactivity necessary to get out of our
You
condition.
have been in this
Yes,
business for 40 plus
yes,
years.
yes,
Since
ma'am,
92, you have had
yes,
political movements. You ran in
yes,
2004, and I think you backed out of the race towards the very, I think the very end. But you've had
yes.
movements, the FFA, and then the C3, and then the ATR, and they don't seem to have worked. How do you now turn around and blame an opposition when I call them stupid,
Oh,
when in
yes,
the last
yes.
35 years, and I'm asking the question, let me finish so that I can land and you can understand me. In the last 35 years, the army has become even more ruthless. The press has become, a lot of mushroom news outlets have emerged, many more than they were in the 90s. The clergy is even more in support of the regime than before. Civil rights have been severely reduced. The parliament has become filled, it's an obese majority of the regime. Are you saying
That's
that
correct.
this in itself is not the reason why the regime is not able to have a breakthrough, and you're blaming just the regime for this?
Just the opposition? No, I didn't blame just one person. I said yes, indeed, the regime is ruthless. Yes, they've perfected the machine of rigging. Yes, they have severely reduced freedoms, and then they are absolutely ruthless as they can now arrest civilians and then bring them in front of military court. I mean, this regime is evil. That's why I think we must do everything in our power to get rid of it. However, I am saying that those that want change has to exercise intelligence, not just emotion. Because if you do not learn from your mistakes, then you keep repeating them, and then you can keep doing the same thing and expect to have a different result. I conducted a scientific studies of the 5 multi-party presidential election that we had, the only 5 that we had in Cameroon: 1992,
97,
1997, 2004,
4,
2011,
11,
2018.
18.
Yes, yes. So now let me tell you what I found out. I found out that what has been increasing, the only thing that has been increasing, that is abstention. In 2018, just to give you the most recent numbers, Mr. Biya gave himself, after rigging, 2.5 million votes. There were around 7 million people that registered to vote that year in 2018, around 6.5 to 7 million, somewhere
It
around there.
was less than 7 million. I think it was somewhere around
Yeah,
6, and the
that's
voters were
what I'm
somewhere
saying.
around 4 million. This year, we are over 8 million registered.
Let me just give the number. I have them. I can give it to you. It was. I'm kind of rounding them because just to make the point that let's say it was 6 million. In 2020, it was about 6.5, something like that. Let me tell you the number of people that, after bothering to register to vote, I'm not even talking about those that did not even bother to go and register to vote, but those that registered to vote, 3.3 million did not go to vote on D-Day and 2018. And then that number was a little bit less in 2011, but it was, the abstention rate in 1992 was 20%, and then in 2018 it was 46.7%. So the question that one must ask is, if the CPDM was such a rigging machine, and such a perfect rigging machine, they are a rigging machine, but they're not perfect. And then there are holes there that, if the opposition understood, they could still beat them. And then one of the things is to get people out to vote. And the question that one may ask is, why is it that 3.3 million Cameroonians, after going through the hurdle of getting voting card, don't go out and vote? This year, I made a projection. If we go in the same trend, out of the 8 million, about 4 million will not go out to vote. And the question is why? How can we get those 4 million to go out there and vote? Because if they did vote, we defeated rigging or not? Because he rigged to get 2.5. Everybody agreed that not 1 million Cameroonian can vote freely for Mr. Biya, but he got 2.5 million. So the 3.3 million, how do we move them to vote? And then the answer that I arrive at is that opposition confuses the voters by too many political parties saying too many different things and not understanding that they have to come together to change the current dispensation before they can actually exercise as political parties. And the only way they can do so is to work on a common program of transition and then create an anti-BIA front. Now, that anti-BIA front does not have to include all the opposition parties, because I'm sorry to say this, out of the 400 political parties, 300 are created by Takanji himself.
In
And then out of the
2004, in
I'm sorry.
2004, there was a coalition front that was formed. I think Ndamjoya, the late Ndamjoya, was a flag bearer. I think it was a CNRR that
Yes.
was formed. So
I
it leads me to ask
do
the
remember.
question, do you really need a coalition to win an election?
Yes, you need a coalition. In the case of Cameroon, you do need a coalition that gives a perception of unity around general interest problems. You always have selfish politicians that you can't get rid of them. They will always be there. You always have politicians that are financed by the government to create confusion and then dispersion. Out of the 11 candidates that were retained by the BIA regime, we know some. I won't name nobody's name, but everybody knows that some of them are completely controlled by the government. So you can never have them to come into a coalition. So that's why we have to shift our paradigm and not try to unite them, but try to unite the people around a program. So because it's the people that vote, it's not those 11 people that are going to vote. So I don't care about them. I don't care if out of the 11 only one comes, because when you come, that person will come. He will come and join. Maybe I hope by the time we finish, we will have maybe 30 or 40 political parties and then maybe 100 associations. Then those associations will now go on the ground, in the grassroots, and then get the people to vote, and then make sure that they protect the vote. And then the only thing that we're going to be talking to people, it won't be long, is that this house is too dirty. We need to clean it before we can continue.
Mr. Chairman.
And then, yes, ma'am.
So since 1992 and before, you have been championing the ideal of a coalition as a necessity to win an election. And it has earned you some friends, but it has also earned you some enemies who believe that
Yes.
for perception, who believe that for the sake of perception, you two should step aside and allow other people to carry on such talks. They believe that you are extremely exacting and unrealistic when it comes to the various offers and politicians on the national scene and hard to work with. Is this something that you take into consideration?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, I can give you facts. I participated in 2 coalition building. One was the Union of Change in 1992. It won. Then I'm
But it
participating on
seems like
this
it was
one.
a one-off.
I'm coming to those where I fail. I don't run away from my failures. And then I'll explain why we fail. Then the second one is this 2025 one, where we learned the lessons from 1992 and the mistakes of 1992 and then try to correct them. That is one, we did almost everything right in 1992. The only mistake that we made was personality cult. I can talk about that a little bit later. But now, what made most of the other coalition fail between 1997 and then 2018, it was that people wanted to build coalition around individuals rather than around common programs. So all the time it failed. In 2004 it failed. In 2011 it failed again, because what they did was calling the star politicians. and then bring them together, put them in a room, and then say, OK, bon, débrouillez-vous, mettez des critères en place et vous allez arriver à... Ce n'est pas comme ça qu'on construit une coalition qui va gagner.
Monsieur Tchameni, il y en a certains de vos profondeurs qui pensent que, effectivement, vous vendez cette idée de soutenir un programme et pas une personne parce que vous n'avez pas la masse politique et vous avez un problème avec les politiciens qui sont populaires. Est-ce que vous avez un problème avec des politiciens populaires? Parce que jusqu'à présent, on vous a souvent suivi avoir de la critique plutôt acerbe envers ces politiciens-là. Est-ce qu'il y
Mais ils
a
ont...
anguille sous...
Non, je n'ai pas, c'est-à-dire que c'est de me faire un mauvais procès. Moi, je veux qu'on chasse M. Biya et il n'y a personne qui a autant souffert, enfin, ils sont très peu qui ont autant souffert que moi et qui ont fait 3 ans de prison politique, 5 ans d'exil, qui ont eu leur entreprise détruite, leur enfant tué, etc. Hein. Donc, avant que les gens viennent me parler, là, il faut qu'ils fassent extrêmement attention. J'ai payé le prix pour qu'il y ait la liberté et la démocratie au Cameroun. Maintenant, ce que je veux dire, c'est ceci. C'est que on ne peut pas... Et deuxièmement, je n'ai aucun ni complexe, ni particular dislike auprès des partis qui sont soi-disant populaires. S'ils sont populaires, ils n'ont qu'à gagner. Moi, je ne comprends pas comment les gens peuvent être populaires depuis 35 ans et ne gagnent pas. Vous comprenez? Donc, peut-être que la popularité, là, c'est pas ça qu'il faut. Peut-être qu'il faut une intelligence politique qui leur manque. Bon, il y a depuis 2018, nous avons une personne qui est extrêmement populaire, M. Kamto, extrêmement populaire. C'est-à-dire que ça, c'est-à-dire qu'il a une grande popularité et qui est indéniable. Mais il faut faire extrêmement attention parce que Michael Jackson, il est plus populaire que Obama. Quand Michael Jackson fait ses concerts, c'est 2 millions de gens. Quand Obama fait ses rallyes, c'est peut-être 100 000 personnes. Vous comprenez? Donc la popularité et l'effectivité en matière politique, c'est 2 choses complètement différentes et les gens doivent faire la distinction entre les deux. Et je suis désolé si j'ai la formation politique qui me permet de faire la distinction et je ne veux pas m'excuser parce que je suis intelligent, quoi.
So why don't you run yourself? The last presidential election, you didn't run. You're back in Cameroon. 2025, you meet the criteria. You're the head of the MDI. Why didn't you just
I keep talking
run?
and then people keep not understanding. I don't believe that it's necessary for me to run to change Cameroon. I even think that particularly in this year, if the group of Duala was not made of people that were not running, we would not been able to build the coalition that we built. The proof is in the pudding. When we started the group of Duala, Ms. Namjoya came and then said, no, why those people want to be mediators and stuff like that. We are big enough. We the one that put the 30 million that the candidate can, on their own, can build a coalition. They went and then they failed abysmally. So there are certain approaches that simply don't work. And then I took the time to study them scientifically. I know that in the political scene, there's too much emotion, but I am sorry to say, I just have that scientific mind. I'd approach everything with a certain approach. And people may hate me all they want, but they cannot say that when I join something that it doesn't achieve its goal. And if we build this union for change properly the way we are about to build it, we shall win in October 12, 2025.
Mr.
And then it won't be because it's me. It won't be
Mr.
because it's
Tchameni,
me. It has
another
to do
question.
with that.
Another tough question. And I appreciate that you have a way of answering when we ask, that I really appreciate because, I mean, these questions can come across as tough, but these are what people are asking. There's somebody who says that you might be a paid actor by the Biya regime, and some years ago, you actually filed a lawsuit against him in Geneva. But in the background, you wrote a private letter to the former Minister of Defense when he was Director of Civil Cabinet at the time and asked to meet with Paul Biya privately. Are these Is there a rationale behind that? First of all, was the letter, is it true? And secondly, what?
First of all, Miss Angie Fobbing, you look at that paper. Don't you see how the words are crooked and stuff like that? It look like they cut pieces of paper, put them together, and then photocopy it. I never wrote such a letter in my life. And then the thing is, some people will bring such a letter, and then I have to sit down and just show myself. I just say that any person that believes to that thing is stupid, and then I'm sorry, but he has to blame his parents for his stupidity.
But there are no stupid questions, right? People ask
I
because
didn't
they
say
want to know.
I say that any person that look at that document and then does not see that it's a fake, it is a fake. Everything is, you have two different character set. You have some words that are straight, others that are crooked, and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's a fake.
But have you
And
ever
then the
had
second
any...
thing, let me just say one thing before I even finish. The second thing, if I ask to see the president, what's the problem?
Have you ever asked? Have you ever met with any of his close aides
Never
or
in my
himself?
life, never in my life have I ever asked to meet the president. And then even if I did, I don't write like that. I went to school, I went good school, and then I was a very good student. I don't write this type of lousy French.
And so you've never asked to see the president, and you've never met with any of his close aides.
I have classmates. I am 64 years old. I went to University of Yaoundé. I know a whole bunch of those ministers. They were my classmates. I'm a Cameroonian. Why you don't want me to meet people that are Cameroonian like me? And because they're in the government, they're not my enemies because they're in the government.
Okay, to come out of that.
So this is really stupid. I mean, I cannot even believe that people will say something like, "No, you shouldn't have met anybody." Why? Why shouldn't I? I'd say I never met Paul Biya.
Maybe they ask. Maybe they're asked because they feel that you have mellowed over the years. I remember watching one of your speeches on crime.
I'm a lot where I've matured.
I remember, Mr. Tchameni,
Nobody will expect me at 64.
When you were running under the MDI banner. I remember this speech where you were technically a candidate, but you were telling Cameroonians they did not need an election to change the government.
I still tell them that today. The problem is that people are not reading with care what the Union of Change is saying. The Union of Change is saying we can never win this presidency with election alone. That's what I said in 2004. That if you just go to election like a naive, and then you think that because you're going to win in the ballot, that Paul Biya is going to call you and then concede, defeat you, fool. It won't happen like that.
So you have not mellowed over the years.
Today. I'm sorry.
So you have not mellowed over the years.
No, I have matured, and then I became a little bit more dangerous with this power than before. When I was young, I acted like a young man. Now I'm 64, Miss Forbin. So nobody will expect me to run on the street with a policeman anymore, because those policemen, they're the age that that I was when I was running. I went in 1990. I was 30 years old. I was 29, something like that. So I could go there and run with the police on the street.
What if a candidate
so today, when young people to go out and then do that, and then come to people like us instead of insulting us, like some young people that come and say you failed, and then they don't come and talk to us, and then they are emotional, they downright counterproductive. They should learn from experienced people and then do their part of the duty, which is they have to train themselves politically. They have to learn that emotion alone is not sufficient. Of course, we understand the frustration, but frustration alone. Che Guevara said this, that a revolutionary is a person that has a cold intelligence in a passionate spirit. So you have to have both. If you have only one, it won't work. And then since 2018, there's too much emoticons, on the scene, and then it cannot produce good results. It cannot produce good result. It has produced good result. We are hoping that by now bringing down the people, telling them, I mean, I pass the message. I'm not doing it for myself. I succeeded in my life. I'm married for 43 years. I have my children. I have my businesses in Burkina Faso, in South Africa. I don't even have any business in Cameroon because every time I do a business, the government destroys it. So I don't have any business here in Cameroon except land. I have maybe 30 hectares of land. That's all I got in Cameroon. Everything else is outside. So I am fighting for myself. And so those people that go out there and then talk bad about me, they can talk all they want. I will do what I have to do because that's what God put in me. I'll do it. I'll propose it. If when the people will be ready, they will take it. When they're not ready, they just don't take it. But they won't
You
change nothing.
mentioned that
How
you
many
have
meals I'm going to Yes, I'm
you,
saying.
you mentioned that you have a software that allows you to get the result trends or the results almost immediately on the evening of after the vote.
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
candidate wins presidential election on the evening of October 12th. And the Constitutional
Yes.
Council, how do you ensure that this time around their victory is not stolen like in 92?
The document of the Union of Change says that we will not wait for them to say it. The law states that the result of the polls are read at the polling station at the end of the voting day. Now, if Cameroonians have voted out Mr. Biya, they will have voted him out on the 12th of October. And I just invite them to go and read the speech that I made on the 2004 election and then understand what they need to do. If you voted for someone or you voted out somebody, you have to do what you have to do. Nepal is there, all other countries are there to speak. So I don't know what Cameroonians want from me. I will put the software. I heard some people say that I came with the software, it was a lying software. I used that software in Burkina Faso in 2015. I came in 2018, proposed it to the candidate. They were either too proud or too, I don't know, I don't want to call people names, but none of them agreed to use the software. They did not agree to use the software. I could not use it alone because I have the software is there, and then we have a new version for 2025 using the new technologies and stuff like that. But what happened is that I cannot build the software with my own money, give it to free to the people, then be the one to now recruit 31,000 people to have them use the software. I put the software in the cloud, they can download it, and then they can, they can use it. I will need a coalition of political parties and civil society organization, and then just volunteer individual to download that software, vote, go in that polling station, and then enter that number. They do enter that number, we will have the result at 8 p.m. on the 12th of November. It's going to be on a platform where they can see, and then that's it. Now, once they get the result, they need to do what they got to do.
You just referred to Nepal, where the Nepalese have unseated their entire government, pulled down all of the institutions, they're fed up. And so it's pretty much a call for Cameroonians to go down into the streets if they don't see the person that they elected or they don't hear their name being called by the Constitutional Council. But may I tell you that
I don't have the luxury of breaking Cameroonian law when I'm inside the country. When I come in the United States, I can make certain declarations. All I say to the people is that it is your right, recognized by
I was going to, yeah.
international instruments, that you can choose the government that you want and then oust the government that you don't want. I'm not the one calling anybody. I'm just reminding people of their
But
rights.
in
Now,
Cameroon,
if they want to exercise it, they exercise it. If they feel power to do it, then it's just going to be like that.
In Cameroon, various diplomatic missions there, I speak of US ambassadors, McCart, Garvey, Jackson, have said that Cameroon has all the elements for a serious crisis, a civil uprising, since the early 2000s, but nothing has happened. There's never mobilizations. People are scared to come out in the streets for obvious reasons. You think that's ever going to happen?
No, I don't think that people are scared to come out on the street. I think that the coming out of the people necessitate certain objective and subjective factors. One of the factors are external. You have to have, I would say, international tu vois, des conditions sur le plan international qui sont favorables aux batailles diplomatiques. Aux batailles
the Berlin
démocratiques.
Wall, for example, back before 92, favored the return to multipartism. But in our context, you think that we are in an epoch where it favors such a thing?
Yeah, today there are certain factors that are very, very favorable internationally. The weakening of France, and then the place being ridiculed, like in the Sahel countries. So France is weaker, and then has less ability to help the dictatorship stay in power. So that's one factor that's very good for 2025. Second factor is the fact that the old man is old, weak, and then the people are divided. So they have 2 or 3 camps that are vying for succession, and so they are not as monolithic a block as they were in 2018, 2011, 2004. So it gives down to Cameroonian serious opportunities to bring about qualitative change. Now, once you have those good conditions, you still have to have your own action, and then that action has to do with the political and then the civic organizations that organize the people and educate them to put them in a certain mindset. No, not to a certain mindset, but to give them an ability to mobilize, because the last factor that is necessary to get the people to rise is the heightened level of poverty and frustration. And then Cameroonians have hit rock bottom. I don't think we can go any lower in terms of frustration and then discouragement, people leaving the country, and like saying any place is better than here. So the frustration is there. Even the tribal talk has not been successful in quelling the dissatisfaction in the areas where Biya was using ethnicity to sort of contain the people. I lived in Cameroon for many, many years, and then between Duala and Yaoundé, and then I feel that Yaoundé is more in opposition today than Duala is. Duala has gotten into a form of cynicism, I would say. But I am sure that the place where you will have the greatest vote against Biya will be Yaoundé here. And so all those conditions are there. The missing part is the quality of the political actors. They are the problem. They are my friends. I know all of them. They are the problem. They are divisive. They are short-sighted. They are unable to let their ego down, to do the right thing. They are just refusing to learn lessons from countries that look like ours and stuff like that. And it's extremely difficult. And then when you come out with an idea, they may agree with the idea, but it's because you're the one that came, not them. They start doing what they're doing to me now, calling me names and stuff like that. And then other people trying to say, why are you the one bringing people together? I should be the one doing it. I say, please go ahead and do it. I don't have any problem. Any person that wants to this union for change, or whatever name they want to call it, if they want to build a coalition, as long as genuinely intended to overthrow this regime, I'll just go and then tag along. I don't have no ego. I don't want to be president of Cameroon. I don't want to be minister. I don't want to be anything. I just want to
You want to be a
just
kingmaker,
be.
maybe. Obviously, you want to be a kingmaker.
I don't even care, to be honest, because I pity. Let me just tell you this one thing, Angie. A lot of the people that are in opposition never really tasted power. I was in Burkina Faso for 5 years. I was next to the president. I was working in the presidency as an advisor. I know what power is. It's
Under
not as
Compaore.
unviable yes, it's not as unviable as people really look at it. You know, like that position of a president. And then I have many friends that are president. And then I'll tell you one little story. The one that I've known for longest was Isufu Muhammadu, the president of Niger. We created our party almost around the same time in the 90s. And then they fought for 20 years, and then eventually he became president in 2011, I think, yes, something like that, 2011. And then he invited me and my wife to his inauguration. So with all the diplomatic thing went, and then he told me, he invited me at home, say, come at night, I have certain things to tell you. And then this was the sentence that they told me, and never forget it. He said, and they told me in French, he said, Djeukam, je me suis jamais senti aussi impuissant que depuis que je suis au pouvoir. And then he spent 2 hours almost crying, showing me how he wants to do this, but he cannot do it, and then he wants to do this, he cannot do it, he wants to do this, he cannot do it. Being an African president is nothing that I long for. So that just to tell you personally, because I know exactly what it is. Right now, where Africa is a joke for, but that's all. That's just me saying. You need the people to accompany you. If you want to be, you need to have the people to a certain level. Unfortunately, in many countries, the people are not there yet. You know, so you find yourself taking the power and then having to do almost like the person that was before you, even though you spend all your time criticizing them. You know, so I'm just saying that Africa still have a long way to go, but all we can do at each step is push. Do you understand? That is, I don't believe that after 2025, Cameroon will become rosy and everything will be fine. I don't believe that. I don't even believe that after transition, everything will be fine. I think it will take about 50 years to fix Cameroon. Those that don't want to fight for the long term won't make it. Those that believe that there's an individual that is a Messiah that has all the solutions, they're just fooling themselves. Politics is not church. If you have that type of mentality, you need to go and join a born-again church. That's what you need to do.
Djeukam Tchameni is our guest tonight. He's the leader of the Mouvement pour la démocratie et l'interdépendance. He ran for president in 2004, and he was a key actor for the push for multi-party politics, the return of multi-party politics, the tripartite conference as well in the 90s, and was a political prisoner for 5 years, exiled himself as well. I have a final question for you. Obviously, the candidate or the person who is conspicuously absent from this race, Maurice Kamto, who was so arbitrarily eliminated by the regime from the race, so grotesquely, had been silent after that. And today he received Bello Bulo Margari, and they've been having talks, as well as he also posted a video casting out his vision on how you build a nation, on nation building. And one thing that stood out for me was the revolutionaries that he brought up. And then as well as the first president of Cameroon. But yeah, he mentioned your uncle, Ernest Wanje. And I don't know if you've watched the videos, under 7 minutes. Do you have any comments to make?
I didn't watch the video, but I won't run away from making a comment about what happened to Maurice Kamto at the Constitutional Council. I mean, he started with the Electoral Council, then finished with the Constitutional Council. I think that was a great injustice. I wrote about it several times. I felt that you cannot eliminate from the race somebody that was second in a past presidential election. Today I'm working very closely with Anise Ekane in building the Union for Change. And then as far as I know, Maurice Kamto is still a member, even though MRC people want to take him away too fast. He's still a member of Manidem. So you know, if anything, that Anise is close to him. They've been talking, and then a lot of the things that we slowed down the process of coalition building because we wanted to get him to talk. After his refusal with the Constitutional Council, humanly it was not easy on him. I think he kind of underwent, I wouldn't call it depression, but you understand when you receive a shock, humanly you need some time to recoup and then clear your thoughts, because he had planned to run for election. He organized himself, raised money, wrote a nice looking program that I don't believe in, but it was very nicely written, stuff like that. So yes, so one can understand that not having the chance, it's almost like you prepare an exam and stuff like that, and then your car breaks down, and then you arrive 30 minutes late, and they say you can't write the exam. So I know how it felt, and then we gave time for him to be able to intervene, and then I was close. I was as close as I could get, because I was working with Anise Ekane in the group of Duala. As soon as it was clear that he couldn't run, and then we were talking to him, saying to him, look, we think that only coalition can win, only coalition can win. I have to say that.
So you've been talking.
Yes, hold on. Yeah, he was met. We met him. The group of Duala met him, but that was before he was excluded from the race. And then he had said that yes, he was for coalition. That's why as soon as he was excluded, we say no, the idea is still valid, and then you can actually even be the kingmaker. So but he was kind of slow to come back, and then I'm happy that he woke up, and then that is now trying to talk to people. That's what we've been asking for a long time. Unfortunately, you have some hoodlums around him, that are piggybacking on him, and then that attacking us for a reason that I just don't understand. One of which is Nincho with his APC, which has zero member, or at least one of them, because MSA is not a member of APC. And to say something like APC is son candidat is just a falsification. APC c'était pas un parti. L'APC n'est pas un parti politique et n'a pas investi le candidat. Maurice Kamto est le candidat du Manidem, point final. Il n'est pas le candidat de l'APC. Et l'APC n'a pas de membre, il n'a pas un document de base, il n'a rien. Donc pourquoi est-ce qu'il s'agit, je ne sais pas très bien pourquoi il le fait, mais je sais que tôt ou tard, il va le dire dans le bon sentiment et on va être dans la coalition là. Okay. Ça, c'est sûr. Il n'y a pas d'autre option. Il n'y a pas deux options. I'm appear arrogant, but I'm telling you the truth. That is, we can only coalesce to beat Bia. And then I am pretty sure that the candidate that we will arrive at on Saturday will be the candidate that is going to be backed up by both, by Kamto, let's say it like that, because it doesn't matter whether Dincho chooses to back it up or not.
Il y a Emmanuel Tonga, qui est membre du FCC de Honorable Nincho, qui dit que vous mentez et que l'APC est né sous le MRC.
Que l'APC est né sous le MRC. Bon, moi, je veux bien. L'Union pour le changement a sorti un document de base, a sorti comment on appelle, une fiche d'adhésion, et vous m'avez demandé tout à l'heure de vous donner, j'ai donné 11 noms de partis politiques, et je vous promets que samedi, je vais vous donner une cinquantaine de noms. Dites à ce jeune homme que le FCC n'a qu'à publier demain la liste des partis politiques qui sont dedans. Moi, j'ai parlé à M. Mota. Il m'a dit que le MRC n'est pas dans l'APC.
Okay. So a final question, Ernest.
Yes.
Bon, avant d'arriver à la toute dernière question, Emmanuel Tonga insiste et persiste que c'est Maurice Kamto qui est le père de l'APC.
Bon, c'est ça. Chacun peut répéter à volonté un mensonge pensant que ça va devenir une vérité, mais ça ne change rien au fait. Je
Il faut
veux le document.
sortir.
Parce que quand on crée une coalition, ce n'est pas aller faire une annonce au congrès d'un parti. They call that in English piggybagging. Yes, that is you just quoting someone, then try to rise. That's all. But in any event, APC is irrelevant now because APC had only one goal, was to make Maurice Kamto a candidate. So he's no more a candidate. APC is irrelevant historically at this point.
Ernest Wanje was your maternal uncle. I learned that a few years ago. And you had promised to build a museum in the family compound. Is that project completed?
No, it's not completed. It has not even started. What happened is that the family compound, the family of his father, the compound of Ernest Wandi's father, that is located in Badumla, in the Bana, because most people think that he's from Bangu, which is halfway true because his mother was from Bangu, but his father was from Bafang or Bana. In that village that's called Badumla today. And what had happened is that the second wife of Mr. Kaji had titled a big piece of it. She just went, because she was influential, of course, she went and sat with the people in charge of land affairs and then was able to title about 400 hectares from the office. They just sat down, cut the piece, and they just say, okay, it belongs to you. And then it turned out that the land of the family of Ernest Wandi was there. I intervened to be able to get Mrs. Kaji to agree to cut out the piece that belonged to the Kaji family, to the Wadi family, I'm sorry, to cut it out of land title. So she agreed on that. But when we started the process, we ran into some little complication as to heirship and stuff like that. So we couldn't go and build something as long as it was still, the title was still in the name of Mrs. Kashi. But it's not, the project is not abandoned. Those problems will eventually get solved, and then we will push the project, because I believe it's not because he's my uncle, but he has an extraordinary history, because in 1961, he was out of the country. He could have stayed out of the country and then yell and then be a good exile and walk around. But he came back and then fought for 9 years before he was arrested. And then, and then it was a landlocked fight because he didn't have a real base. So I found him to be an extremely courageous person among the leaders. Even in Africa, he finds a very special place in the heart of revolutionaries.
If you're just joining us, Djeukam Tchameni is our guest tonight. He is the national chairman of the Movement for Democracy and Interdependence. He spearheaded a movement that led to the return to multi-party politics, the tripartite conference, and he's also was also a political prisoner of the BR regime for 5 years, and he's the inventor of a tropicalized computer. And the founder of the Intel car that created softwares as well as sold hardware equipment, but that was destroyed by the BR regime when he was being persecuted for his political views and values. Do you have a last word?
Well, yeah, my last word to Cameroonian is that we have a chance, one in a lifetime, to get rid of this regime. The Cameroonian people have to understand that what will happen on the 12th of October will depend on each one of them individually. Everybody has to look at himself in the mirror and then say, what am I going to do to bring about the change? And I believe that by setting up a coalition of the type of Union for Change, we're giving an outlet that could focalize the energies of Cameroonians that want change, so that they may go on the 12th and then vote for whatever candidate is going to come out to be the candidate, the consensual candidate, because it will not be, I would say, there won't be a cult of his personality. During the campaign, is the whole team that selected him that's going to be running the campaign. And then we will go into a period of transition and then the foundation of the country, and then all the different ideology could now disperse in several political parties and then run. I am just telling them, not everybody will agree on everything, but at the end of the day, it will not be the politician bickering that will make the difference. It's going to be how the people coalesce around one objective and then vote Mr. Biya out. Please do not abstain. If you don't like the candidate of the Union for Change, vote for somebody else, as long as you don't vote for Mr. Biya. But go out and vote.
Well, thank you so much for your time again, sir. Best of luck in your endeavors on Saturday, the 13th. We hope you're able to wriggle your way out of the government's shenanigans regarding your authorization to be able to gather at the Omnisport or the multi-purpose complex stadium in Yaoundé. You say that after the FFA, the SUFC, the C3, and the ATR, the UFC Reloaded version 2025 is a charm, and you think that the candidate that emerges as the consensual candidate will win the presidential election on the 12th of October. It's on that note.
I bet my money on it.
I'll hold you to that on the 12th of October. Thank you again, and have a good night.
Thank you, Andy. It was really nice talking to you. I will
Bye.
talk to you again on Saturday. I'll call you to let you know who that candidate is.
And if you don't,
And then,
I'll call.
okay, no problem. You take care. Bye-bye.
Rebecca Inanchong is just joining to say that she supports
Oh,
a coalition. Of course, you know the immense Rebecca Inanchong. She's one of the prides of Africa when it comes to tech. She's here, and she's in total support of a coalition.
yes, of course. Hi, Rebecca. And then, a lot of things that people don't know about Rebecca is that she was the U.S. representative of Cap Liberté,
Okay.
the organization that almost overthrew Biya in the 90s. In the 90s, yes, she was.
That's good to know, and notes taken. Another reason to be admirative of her. I'm a fan. So, but thank you, and we'll talk offline. Have a great evening.
Okay, same to you. Bye bye.
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 And it is on that note that we call it quits tonight. We'll see you again on Monday next week, and we'll be meeting a presidential candidate, Hiram Iyagi, who is running under the FDC banner. And until then, this was Angie Forbin Live. Have a wonderful evening.